And today we have our special presentation of the Wilson Heyman VSLA Award, where we're going to be honoring Smedes York. Smedes, thank you so much for being here today. I mean, I feel like everybody who has been in Raleigh for a while knows the name of Smedes. But man, I will tell you that someone that's impactful in so many people's lives. When I got here today, I've heard so many different stories already about Smedes that wasn't covered in some of the information that we got beforehand. Randy brought up the fact that he is part of the Good Old Boys Club, and you are the poet emeritus, poet laureate there, which is great. So if you want to see that poem, Randy's got it back there in the back. And then I heard a funny story from Charlie back in the day. I guess when Bill, you were president, we had Smedes come and speak to the club, and there was a rule that is if you had to leave early during the meeting, you had to go up and shake the speaker's hand and say, "Apologize for leaving early." And so Charlie had a meeting and had to come up to and interrupt Smedes. So Charlie, I don't think there's any bad blood there. But it's just crazy. So anyways, so glad you're all here. As a reminder, if you have not done so already, please scan the QR code. If you parked in the parking garage behind us, we don't want you to get a bill in the mail. And with that, we are going to move over to our invocation and pledge. Tom, why don't you come up?
Thank you. We all stand, please, and bow our heads. Dear God, we're grateful for today and fellowship and service, grateful for the opportunity to come together as members of the Rotary community. We thank you for the gifts of leadership, compassion, commitment, and to each person brings to this table. Guide our thoughts and our discussions that we may be wise, respectful, and productive. Help us to serve our communities with integrity, generosity, and true spirit of service above self. And amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, beautiful for spacious as for and praise nothing, for purple mountains majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crowned thy good brother, soon to shine see. ARY, that spells Rotary. Wonderful. Thank you for that, guys. Appreciate it. Before I forget to mention, I just want to make sure, I would like to highlight somebody that made today's meeting seem as smooth as all. Mark Hackett, who is on Zoom today. Mark Hackett is instrumental when we're looking at the VSLA award every year, and it's the run out of the meeting and the overall flow of the meeting. So I just want to say thank you so much for Mark, for all the hard work that you've provided to make my job, Jim's job, and Tom's job super easy. So I appreciate you. Little clap, little round of applause for Mark. There we go. All right. Now, my favorite part of today's meeting is where we get to meet our guests. I saw some familiar faces here today. So what we're going to have to do is Jennifer is going to come around, pass you the mic if you're a guest, and we would just love to hear your name, what you do, and what brought you to Rotary. Jennifer.
And Mark Hackett on Zoom says thank you. All right. Hi, I'm Brooke Hanford. I am with York Properties, which means I'm here with Smedes. I've been there for about 13 years and have worked with Smedes for about 11, and it's been one of the greatest blessings of my life. Thank you. Mary Moss.
This is a cute little microphone. Hey, Smedes, congratulations. It's good to see you here. Jenny Heyman, if she hasn't reached you already, said she would have been here. She has a family wedding in Michigan. So she's really disappointed not to be here. But thank you and congratulations. And now I get to introduce Sarah Ross Nyack. Moss and Ross, there's the Ross part. She's my business partner's daughter, and I've watched her since birth, pre-birth, and and she is a rock star in her own right. And I had given a much more extensive introduction the last time, and then now I'm going to give it to Sarah because she's going to give her own introduction this time.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Nyack. This is my second time joining the club. I moved back to the area in October with my husband after 13 years in Washington, D.C. I was part of the Rotary Club of Washington, D.C. while there. I'm a third generation Rotarian, so big fan of Rotary. It's been part of my life forever. Let's see, I'm an independent consultant now doing brand strategy and organizational strategy. So I've actually gotten to work with Moss and Ross doing that. And my husband and I, he found a job at Rex in their neurosurgery group. So convinced him to move back to the area, and we are so happy here. We have one little one and another on the way very soon. So it's nice to be home and to be here at Rotary again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you to our guests for being here today. All right, we're going to move forward into our meeting with a quick service update by our own Kevin Summers. Kevin.
Thank you, President Harrison. First thing, I've got two gentlemen that are going to join me up here, but Sarah and her husband Terry were here, but they had to leave. The book drive. I know some of you have already said you have books and you forgot to bring them, right, Harrison? There's others too, but I like to pick on Harrison. Please make arrangements. Sarah is more than willing to meet you somewhere or to come to your house and pick up the books. I encourage you to reach out to your neighbors. We did this before. If you've never done this, send out a note if you're in an HOA or just the neighborhood. I'll guarantee you that somebody of my age or older has a bunch of children's books in their attic that they're not doing anything with. And I cleaned out my entire neighborhood 2 years ago. So let's get some children's books and let's donate them to Wake Up and Read this month. We're trying to do this in May. I mean, there really is no deadline. If you have books later in June, we'll take them. But I'd like to get them done this month. All right. Next up, is my special volunteer that's got the, this is the announcement of the year.
Hold on, here we go. So on Saturday, we had the spring cleanup over in Lions Park. And it was myself, Richard, and Tom, a power trio. And I just learned from Harrison today that every year, apparently, when you do this cleanup, what is the most interesting thing that you found? So I'm walking along the creek, and if you've ever done it, it's sort of low down. You see a little bit of water running down there, and I see a pair of sneakers. So I'm like, let me go down, pick up those pair of sneakers. Who's going to get rid of a pair of sneakers? So I go down into the creek, and then I seem to look and notice that there are a pair of legs attached to the sneakers. So get the chill up my spine, and I walk down a little bit further, and then I see a hand facing up. So now I'm like, I start backtracking, and I call Tom. I'm like, Tom, I think there's a body in this creek. So it has a good ending, don't worry. Tom comes over, looks with me, and he says, we need to call the police. So 4 cruisers show up, a hook and ladder truck, paramedics. They went down there because as I went down, I saw the hand moving, thankfully. I didn't want to see what the top part of him looked like because I was afraid. Turned out, unfortunately, drug addict, on crack. They pulled him out, took him away in the paramedics. He was okay. But I think that was probably one of the more interesting finds of the cleanup.
Yeah, I love following that. I'm here to just make yet another one of announcements of continuing opportunities for us to serve our neighbors in the western part of the state who are still in recovery from Hurricane Helene. There is a team that we're working to gather heading to Black Mountain the weekend of May 29th to 31st. So not next weekend, but the weekend after. To build a couple of wheelchair ramps. And this is This is based on a grant that the district made to the Black Mountain Rotary Club earlier this year. So this is the boots on the ground to fulfill some of the work commissioned by that grant. And Jennifer and I went to the same place. We stayed at the same place, the YMCA Blue Ridge Assembly, back in December. And it's a really nice lodging that's provided for you. And I think that they're charging $25 per night. So you would go and stay Friday and Saturday night, help to build a wheelchair ramp, and continue to provide service to Western North Carolina. Feel free to contact any of us if you need information about how to sign up, but there's a great opportunity.
Thank you for all of those updates. And I think that we probably should sunset the what's the most interesting thing that you find on these cream cleanups, because it's getting a little out of hand. All right. Now we have a membership update. Unfortunately, Diamante woke up this morning feeling ill, so he is not here today. So I get the pleasure of welcoming up Pharrell for his second reading today. So get that cowboy hat up here, brother. While he comes up, another thing that we want to highlight is on the May 28th, the Service Social. We're going to be at 6 p.m. at the Stars and Strikes here in Raleigh. It's a great time. We're going to do some bowling, some fellowship, some connecting. So it's a great opportunity and low-hanging fruit for someone. If you have somebody that you know that doesn't know anything about Rotary, but you think is going to be a good Rotarian, bring them out and let's have some bowling and some fellowship, and let's show them what being a Rotary family is all about. So Farrell, I always say that. Pharrell. Sorry, brother.
You're so close.
I know. Pharrell, today is your second reading. You are a commercial realtor with eXp Realty. You've been in Raleigh pretty much your entire life. Your father was a Rotarian as well, and a former. Well, I guess you're never a former, but former and still quasi DJ as well in the. But I've had the opportunity of I met Pharrell first at the Raleigh Chamber. We've had lunch a couple times. He is a wonderful individual, thinks well of this community, and has a heart for service. One of the things we like to do during your second reading is give you the opportunity to express your why. So I'm going to pass the mic to you, and just in a few words, why Rotary? What's your drive to be a Rotarian?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for having me and keep me around for the second reading. The why is simple. This community has given so much to me. It's my time to give back. Growing up here, I remember going to all kinds of parks. I remember being out in nature, and Rotary Club gives back to that. The 250 right here tree campaign we've been having is a fantastic work. Shout out, give some trees. If you don't donate, we're getting close, right? But past that, it's just a club that I've seen my father have years of enjoyment, not just with making friends, but with how he was able to give back up in Maryland. And for myself, being able to give back for me and my family, it's incredibly important. So thank you all so much for having me and giving me this opportunity, truly.
Thank you so much, Pharrell. If you've not had the opportunity to connect with him, please do so today after the meeting. Grab coffee with him, grab lunch. He knows a lot of good spots here in Raleigh. So Pharrell, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right, moving on, we have a real quick update. So the Coffee with Rotarians is back. Linda was out of town last week, so she should be sending out some point midweek this week the first block of connection. So thank you to those who reached out saying that you wanted to be a part of it, and for those who she's notated who do not want to be a part of this round of Coffee with Rotarians. But it's a great opportunity for you to get to know literally the person sitting next to you outside of the confines of this meeting, hear a little bit more about their life, and hopefully that brings us as a community closer together. All right, now we've got James LaMancha coming up for a quick fundraising update. James.
And there are no bodies in this one. There we go. I'm not going to bore you. I'm not going to go over the numbers again with you. Every week we do that. You know you're crushing it. We're doing a great job. We're over $75,000 raised already for the trees. So we're really doing a great job. But I thought I'd tell you some oak tree jokes today. Mix it up a little bit. There you go. Thank you. So what's the difference between an oak tree and tight shoes? One makes acorns and one makes corns ache. Good. All right, thank you. This one may get me in trouble. Did you hear about the two lawyers who set up shop under the old oak tree? I heard it was a shady business. Good. Here, one more. What is the poorest tree in the forest? The Baroque tree. Boo. Okay, maybe we go to the June 13th slide. Big date coming up. On June 13th, we're going to be wrapping 250 oak trees throughout the city. We're going to be having 5 teams of 10. We're going to look for people to sign up. We're going to do the sign up like we do for the bell ringing. Make sure you could sign up. And the time, I believe, is 9 to 11. I'll confirm that. But sign up. Make sure you get involved. It's going to be a great event. And I could tell you that rumor has it that my team will be treated to libations while you're wrapping trees. So when you decide on a team, don't let that, affect your decision. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Appreciate you, brother. All right, so birthdays and anniversaries. We want to say happy birthday upcoming to Linda Monahan. Happy birthday, ma'am. And then Paul Corsa on the 30th. We are doing a little bit of outside because next week being Memorial Day, we won't be here. Anniversaries, we have Bill and Sandy McLaurin on the 19th. 53 years. Congratulations to you guys. Man. Dave and Lee Amons on the 24th, 40 years of marriage. Tom and Leslie Packer on the 28th. Happy anniversary to you all. Mary and Bill Moss, that is 44 years of marriage, and that's also on the 30th, 44th. And then Chuck and Wendy Leedy on the 30th as well. So happy birthday. What's on the 30th? Happy anniversary, happy birthday to everybody. Our upcoming meetings, we want to highlight, we don't have any meeting on Memorial Day, which is this coming up Monday. On the 1st, we have Taylor Duncan with alternative baseball, for those on the spectrum. I know it's baseball season. And then on the 8th, we have Sarah Purdue with the North Carolina Department of Justice. She's part of their outreach and policy, and she'll be providing us an update from their office. So be on the lookout for those meetings. Now we have Tom back up here for the raffle. Oh, beautiful. I feel like. All right. The number for today is 144454. Charlie, there we go, sir. Come on up, brother. Come on up. All right. So as a reminder of how this works, you're looking to pull now. You automatically get the pot for today, which is?
Total pot was $40. His share of it.
Okay. $14 today. And then if you pull the ace of clubs, then you get the full jackpot,
which is over $500 right now.
Over 500. And if you pull the joker, it's $100.
Yep.
$100 if you pull a joker.
Talk to me.
Go for it. 4 of hearts.
Sorry about that.
The pot continues to grow. What? Hey, you still a winner today? Thank you so much, Charlotte.
Thank you, President.
Yes, sir. You want to stay up here? Happy dollar. Oh, good, man. Perfect. We actually signed that up because he had to do happy dollars today, so I had him win just so he's already up here. But let's move on to some happy dollars. Charlie, go ahead.
Hey, thank you, President Harrison. Who's got a happy dollar today? I know David's got one.
Very good. Yes, it is happy and sort of sad. Effective a week from tomorrow, I will take over as market president for Carteret County for First Bank. So sadly, while I love Team Jim and Charles Bailey, Team Tom has a location at the beach. So I'll be living in Emerald Isle at my cottage I've had there, and working out of Morehead City. So any of you have any dealings in Morehead City, or if you find yourself down there, shoot me an email or text. I'd love to catch up, and I will always be doing makeups here as well. So thank you, buddy.
How about some cold hard cash for that happy dollar? Oh, that's an unhappy dollar. Thank you. Well, best of luck. We're going to miss you, David, and hope we can hang out at your beach place sometime. Okay. Anybody? I saw some hand. Here we go. James. Oh,
Switch. I got a happy dollar. I've always lived in a place where cars are optional, and the lease was running up on my car a month ago, and I finally said I'm going without a car. I love this city. The bus system is great. I get around so easily, so it'll be an interesting thing to see how long it lasts. But so far, so good.
that. Congratulations, James. Anybody over here? Okay. Oh, President Harrison.
I've got to do 5 happy dollars and a shout out. I'm going to do it, Daniel. I shout out to Daniel Lipper and his team over at Neighbor Health and the importance of, even if you're young, going and getting a checkup. I went in there to help out. It's like I don't have a primary care physician, and I haven't had a checkup in like 5 years. So I went in, high blood pressure. Can't believe it. But I wouldn't have known that fact unless I had to take time to go. And they did a wonderful job over there. But my wife has loved me well, has tracked everything I'm eating, and I'm back underneath numbers. And, I'm all normal now, but still. So big shout out to Daniel and his team for making me healthier. Yes, sir. All right, moving on. It is now time. We're going to invite Tom Packer to come up to give an overview and a little bit of history of the Wilson Heyman VSLA Award. Tom.
Thank you, Harrison, and good afternoon, everybody. While the driving force of Rotary is service above self, vocational service is the second pillar of Rotary's avenue of service. The concept of vocational service in Rotary calls on Rotarians to encourage and foster 3 key principles: high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations, and the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. Annually for the last 11 years, the Rotary Club of Raleigh has awarded the Vocational Service Leadership Award, or VSLA, to a worthy community leader. The purpose of the award is to recognize non-Rotarians in the community who exemplify integrity and high ethical standards in their vocation and use their vocational talents to serve the community. Nominations can only be made by active members of the Rotary Club of Raleigh. In 2021, we renamed the award the Wilson Heyman Vocational Service Leadership Award in memory of our longtime distinguished member, Wilson Heyman. Wilson is a past president and valued member of our club who passed away too soon a few years ago. You can see his photo, his portrait, and then at our holiday lunch with his wife, Jenny, who, as you heard, can't be here today. You can go to the next slide, please. Excuse me. Past award recipients are noteworthy members of our community and can be seen on the screen. This year, as in the past, we had many excellent nominees submitted by club members. All nominees have qualities that exemplify Rotary's motto of service above self. First, we want to thank all of those who submitted names and profiles for consideration. Thank you for sending those to Mark Hackett for consideration. And the VSLA Executive Review Board, organized and overseen by Mark Hackett, had a very challenging task this year to decide on the award recipient. And we need to thank them for the commitment and diligence in selecting this year's award winner. The review board this year included current President Harrison Turner and the following past club presidents: Mary Moss, Eric Larson, Charlie Upshaw, Kerry Suffern, and me. The award recipient receives a Rotary Club of Raleigh crystal plaque. Our club makes a donation to a charity of the recipient's choice, and he is awarded a Paul Harris Fellow, which includes a pin, medallion, and certificate. This year's Rotary Club of Raleigh Vocational Service Leadership Award recipient has a very long history of exemplary service above self to the Raleigh community, and his name was submitted by Rotary Club member and past president Jim Dorsett. I will invite Jim to the podium now to introduce our award recipient this year. Jim.
Thank you, Tom. It's really an honor for me to be able to introduce to you someone I have long admired as a friend and someone I have worked with in the past, someone that I think all of you know and admire, someone who has meant so much to this city and this state and to innumerable organizations, Smedes York. Now, Smedes' resume is so extensive in service that I can only touch the surface, but I'm going to do a little of that for you here today. Now, Smedes is a native son of Raleigh. He grew up right here. He attended Broughton High School. He chose NC State. He was recruited to play football at Duke, but he chose NC State, where he played varsity basketball under Everett Case, the legendary Everett Case. But showing his ecumenical nature, he attended UNC Chapel Hill, where he attended an MBA. He obtained an MBA, I'm sorry. Smedes also served as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, serving in Korea for 2 years during the conflict there. Now, Smedes also is an author. He published a book called Growing Up in Raleigh, which I've read, and I can commend it to you. For those of you who grew up in Raleigh, you'll recognize many of the sorts of experiences that Smedes had. It's a great book, full of humor, full of information, but he's not stopping there. Smedes is publishing his second book soon. It's going to be a book of poetry. It's being announced by a train right now, so I think it's going to be published very soon. Smedes continues to lead as chairman both York Properties and McDonald York Construction, two of the leading players in commercial and other real estate in Raleigh and in North Carolina. So he's not slowing down at all. And some of you may be familiar with some of the projects, for example, the Village District, formerly Cameron Village, and numerous other properties and signature projects in Raleigh and in North Carolina. But Smedes has never been content to just rest on his laurels and enjoy the success that he has had through his work in business and his leadership of these two incredible organizations. He has used his time, he has devoted countless hours, and I would say years, to service above self, something with which everyone in this room is familiar. He has served and continues to serve on the board or as chairman of the board of just about every good cause you could think of in this community. He has served universities and schools, both public and private, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Wake County, Habitat for Humanity, museums, hospitals, all sorts of organizations in this state. I mean, I could literally name for you just about every charity you've ever heard of, and Smedes has led that organization as chairman and fundraising. I don't know how many fundraising letters I've gotten from Smedes over the last 50 years, but there have been quite a few. I always try to respond because I know he's putting in his time and he's devoting the resources of York Properties and McDonald York Construction as well as his own. Yeah, that's right. But I want to say that throughout his career, Smedes has not only succeeded enormously in his business endeavors and led these organizations, both commercial and nonprofit, but he's always exemplified the highest levels of ethics and congeniality, gentility, and he's had a magnanimous spirit And he's truly exemplified everything that this award is about, which is service above self and using one's leadership, using one's career to serve the common good, to serve the community, to serve others. And I'm just amazed when I look at all the things that Smedes has done. As I said, I've just touched the surface in naming some of these organizations. I suspect that Brooke and others at York Properties, would like for Smedes at some point to learn a simple 2-letter word, but apparently, as far as I can tell, he's never said no when asked to serve and to lead. So it's truly an honor to introduce you to him. And then I would one thing to add: he was also Raleigh's youngest mayor. I don't know how many of you know that, and he served 2 terms as mayor. He's served in numerous other ways, both the city and the state. He's been inducted into the Raleigh Hall of Fame. No surprise there. He received the Order of the Longleaf Pine from the governor, which is the highest civilian award presented by the governor to a citizen for outstanding service. That was in connection with the Olympics. And so with that, I turn the program over. I know we're going to have an interview of Smedes. I'm going to lead a little fireside chat, if you will. But before that, we have some things to present to Smedes.
Thank you so much for that, Jim. Yes, and as Jim's outlined all of the reasons why Smedes, your life has exemplified service above self in so many ways. We are honored today to present you with the Wilson Heyman VSLA Award. Here you go, sir. Rotary Club of Raleigh, if you would please stand. Round of applause. Smedes.
You say 2 things.
Yeah.
One, anything that Jim Dorsett wants to do like that is a special honor. So, Jim, thank you very much. I knew his dad, and we can talk about that later, but great guy. But looking at the list of former recipients, I knew essentially everyone on there. So I'm joining a group of wonderful people, and I'm very honored to receive this award. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And in addition to that, we are honored to present a donation on your behalf to a nonprofit that you support well, and we found that you have a lot of support with. So Transitions Life Care, we are providing $500 donation on your behalf to their organization.
Thank
you. The real check is in the back. I got that for you. All right. Well, if you guys want to come on over here. Here. You bring your water. Over to you, sir.
All right, Smedes. The things I'm going to ask you about, I know you could talk for 20 minutes on about 20 different subjects, and I wish we had the time for that, and we'll have to have you back sometime to speak on a particular topic. Sometime I'd love to have you present to the club just your books. But I wanted to ask you some questions, give you a chance to share with the members of our club some things about your life and your experiences in leadership and service that I think everyone here will be interested in. So I'm going to start with just a general question. What was it like for you to grow up in Raleigh, and what are the most significant changes that you've seen in our city during your lifetime?
Well, thank you, Jim. It's certainly a privilege to have grown up in Raleigh. Let me just say, I was born here, and I remember things back to when I was 3.5 years old. That's probably pretty much what everybody lived on Maiden Lane. But what was the same, interestingly, Raleigh was a planned city, 1792. So the grid street system of the downtown area is the same. NC State was here, In fact, all the colleges and universities were here. All the communities in Wake County were here. But there were 50,000 people, and now there are 550,000 people. Some big changes, the growth. But another big change is that I grew up in a segregated city. The Raleigh school system was integrated in 1960. I graduated from high school in 1959. Bill Campbell, I mean, you know that name, was the first African-American student attended Murphy School. So certainly that is a big change. But what hasn't changed is we do have a community that, in a lot of respects, works together. And it's, saying that, it sounds simple, but there are many communities where that's not the case. So what I want to help going forward is not to have us divided, so that when we have a hearing, different opinions is fine, but not people standing in the middle of the street. So a lot of changes, but it's a great place.
Smedes, what do you see? This is said to be one of the fastest growing cities in the country. What do you envision for the future of Raleigh, and what can we all do to help make Raleigh the best city, the greatest place to live that it can be?
Well, the future is going to continue to grow, but the key thing, I think, in a lot of respects, is the land use pattern. When I was on the city council, and the mayor, actually that time, was Isabella Cannon. How many remember the little old lady in tennis shoes? Somebody raise your hand, please remember. So I spoke to a younger group of leadership folks, and not a one of them remembered Isabella Cannon. But anyway, she did appoint me chairman of a comprehensive planning committee. We adopted the report in June 19th, 1979. So that was something that, what it is, it says let's grow with the nodal concept. Let's don't strip everything out. Let's have clusters. And I think it's generally worked well. The city council is responsible for that, but Raleigh is one of 12 municipalities in Wake County. The other 11 and Raleigh are all growing very rapidly. So it's quite a challenge to keep up with it. But I think the best way to do that, be a member of a committee, join a Rotary Club, be on a planning commission, just be part of the process. But it's a real challenge. But the only thing worse than a city that's growing is a city that's not growing and losing population. So we're very fortunate here.
Well, we've got a lot of talent in this room, and with the sort of service above self that you have exemplified and that others here exemplify, I think we're going to make Raleigh one of the great places to live in America, and it's being recognized as such. Smedes, you wrote a book called Growing Up in Raleigh. I mentioned during the introduction. I love some of the experiences that you recounted, including running off with Billy Dunlap and some other buddies of yours for a cross-country tour when you were teenagers, and some of the experiences that you had. Can you relate just a few anecdotes from your book that folks here would be interested to hear about?
And look, growing up with Raleigh, and on the cover is a 1957 Chevrolet station wagon. There were 6 of us that took this trip. I was just out of the 10th grade. Billy Dunlap, one of your recipients of the award here, my brother, Dick Mason, Jimbo Rouse, and George Dunlap. There were 6 of us. The 3 seats, right? But where are you going to put the luggage? My dad had a special luggage rack built on top. This was a trip that 6 weeks across the United States. Started out in Toledo, Ohio, Chicago, the Badlands, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Las Vegas, through Texas, New Orleans, and back. So quite a trip. But the key thing is that, okay, no cell phones, right? There weren't such thing as cell phones. We had maps. We didn't have Google. I mean, right now, everybody's spoiled. Just say, I'm going here, Google it. We didn't do that. I don't know how we found all the places we went. But it was a wonderful experience, particularly looking back on it. Now, the book, Growing Up with Raleigh, that's only one of the chapters. There's a chapter about growing up in a segregated society, the chapter related to the basketball, the chapter related to the serving on city council and running for mayor, one chapter about respect of another person. So, and actually there's two books. The other one is What We Remember, and that has 20 oral histories of different people. Neither of them have been bestsellers, but you can buy them at Quail Ridge, okay? You can buy them. And the third book is the poetry book. It's Echoes of Our Times, Reflective Rhymes. So we're finished, but it's going to come out. What we plan to do is maybe in November at Quail Ridge, introduce all of the books. Jim has given me permission, not right this second, but to read two of the poems that are in the book.
Smedes, you chose to attend NC State. You played ACC basketball, played under Everett Case, who is a legend in basketball. What can you tell us about your time at NC State playing basketball for Coach Case?
Well, how long have you got? It's fantastic. He was a great promoter and a great coach. He came to coach NC State in 1946 from Indiana, where he'd won 4 high school championships. But he was a legend by the time I was able to attend. A lot of differences. There were 8 teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference. The tournament, only the winner went. Okay, so very, very tense tournaments. But I played freshman ball. There was mandatory freshman ball. Even David Thompson had to play freshman ball. That quickly ended. But now a lot of them don't even, they play freshman and then they go on. But everybody played freshman ball, and I was redshirted a year and played 2 years on the varsity. While I was there, one thing that is not fun to remember, but it's a fact, we had a point shaving scandal. Players would only get room and board and what we call laundry money. And I mean, they didn't give money other than that. $25 laundry money. I looked that up. It's about $250 to $300 a day, but you couldn't do too much with it. So the gamblers would come in and give the players like a coat, take them to dinner. They said, now we want you to not lose this game, but win. If you're favored by 20, win by less than 20. So the point shaving scandal broke Everett Case's heart. It was, nobody approached me. You can't shave points from the bench, right? So I was pretty much immune from that. But I remember being on Cameron Street in Cameron Village, riding and hearing on the radio that we had 3 players at NC State involved in the point shaving scandal. So because of that, they canceled what was called the Dixie Classic. Some of you probably remember the Dixie Classic. Fantastic holiday tournament. I always felt like that was bad to cancel that. They punished not the players that shaved the points, they punished the players that didn't shave the points, right? So I never get to play, and I wouldn't have liked to have played, at least been there on the bench. But much difference. Quickly, a couple of other things, Jim, aware of our time, but change. The two-handed set shot was just leaving. Might remember ever seeing a two-handed set shot. Larry Brown, Larry Brown, the great coach and player at UNC, he actually had a two-handed set shot. Step back real quick and shoot. But so that's gone. The sky hook, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. For some reason they don't do the sky hook really anymore. There's what's called the sort of baby hook. But that's a big change. But the big thing is now, of course, the NIL, name, image, and likeness, and like one of the Wolfpack players, McNeil, started to try to get him back, and he is coming back. He got a couple of $1 million. I mean, this is what's happened in sports. So is it good? I don't know. We'll see. But at the same time, playing when I played, it's pretty clear you would be there 4 years, or if you redshirted 5. And the tournament was life or death.
Smedes, I never told you this, but my father-in-law, Thorne Gregory, whom you knew, took my mother-in-law to the Dixie Classic for their honeymoon. Don't really recommend that sort of thing for any of you here. Yeah, he played a year for at UNC as a walk-on. So you served 2 years in Korea, second lieutenant, Corps of Engineers. Maybe tell us a couple things about the Korean conflict and your role.
Well, when I was there, actually, the Korean conflict had ended, but Vietnam was really building up. But I went to NC State, got a commission back when many of you probably in the same situation. You had a military obligation. You had to do something. So I looked at it as a great opportunity to get a commission, go in as a commission officer, which I did. Many folks tried to slip by. Some of them were successful, some of them weren't. But anyway, I was in the Corps of Engineers assigned to South Korea in 64, 65. Actually, Vietnam had just started to really, really build up. I tell people, and it's not 100% accurate, but it makes the point. When I went to Korea, they weren't sending any lieutenants to Vietnam. When I got out, they were sending all the lieutenants to Vietnam. That was a period that was really very, very stressful. But one particular, I was in a construction company that was actually doing a construction project, a big earthwork project having to do with building tanks for petroleum storage. I mean, it was a pretty major project. But so I became company commander and actually Camp Libby post commander too. Okay. So all of a sudden we get this notice, DEFCON 3. My first sergeant was named Sergeant Kaiser. He was actually up in Wagon, but he had given me the combination to the safe. And the DEFCON 3 instructions were in the safe. The safe wouldn't open. It would not open. I'd never been so, I can remember every second of that night. There was an officer at Camp Libby that had to do with the petroleum. He was not in the chain of command. I was post commander and so forth. Captain Marino. And we sort of knew each other, but about 1 in the morning, I said, I went by George in the Army, George S. York. I said, Captain Marino, it's DEFCON 3. I can't open the safe. I don't know what to do. I said, I don't know what to do. What should I do? He said, damn, if I know George, I'm going to bed. So actually, the next day, the first sergeant came back, and the safe would be opened by turning to each number and banging it. Okay, banging it. So another thing to do with that, because I can remember every second of that night, the colonel, and don't y'all tell anybody about this, but the colonel was calling to report when 85% of the troops were present. Report. We had about 25%, but they would spend the night in the village. Most of them would have girlfriends in the village. There were places called hooches. They would spend the night with their girlfriends. They'd come back at 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, everybody knew about this. There wasn't anything illegal about it. Report. I said, sir, we don't really have them. About 5 minutes later, I could tell he was getting really agitated. So I lied. Let's call it a white lie. I said, sir, we got them. He said, thank you, Lieutenant. But actually, within 5 minutes, we did have them. But that was a very frightful evening. But that was it wasn't a drill. That was a real situation. And Vietnam built up and became a horrible thing for this country.
So Smedes, of particular interest to this group, we have a lot of young leaders here and a few not so young leaders, but mostly really young, handsome, beautiful leaders here of their organizations, banks, professional organizations, law firms, real estate. From your time leading two organizations, York Properties and McDonald York Construction, what are the key things that you learned about effective leadership that you can share with us?
The first thing, and I learned this, but maybe it came naturally too, treat everybody with respect. That's my guideline. Doesn't matter. When I was mayor, for example, sometimes somebody would speak to me like in McDonald's. Never brushed them off, asked them maybe one question or something like that. Treat everybody with respect. One very successful company in Cameron is Bailey's Jewelry. They treat everybody with respect when they come in. Treat everybody with respect. Second thing is be a team player. In other words, whatever committee you're on or whatever group you join, you might not have the major role, but the role you got, do that as best you can. Be a team player. And the third thing is arrogance. That's the way to fail, is arrogant. One of my mentors, and I'll tell you this quick story, Ford Worthy. Some of y'all may remember Ford Worthy. He worked for my dad, and I worked under him, but we were involved in Northgate Shopping Center. This was when I was just starting. I was in my about 23 or 24 years old. My dad was working with the Rand family over there in Northgate, and there was an out parcel proposed, a circular bank. I think it was CCB. It hadn't been built. And Ford didn't really think we wanted that. So Ford and I went over there, and the banker was there, and the architect was there. And Ford said, I think that fascia is a little out of scale. He was just delaying. The architect said, what architectural training do you have, Mr. Worthy? And Ford said, none. He said, absolutely none. And I can't cook either, and I can sure tell if I like an apple pie. Isn't that a great answer? But arrogance will ruin it. If you're not part of a team and sharing ideas and learning from others, you will not be successful.
Well, Smedes, as I mentioned in the introduction, you've led every worthwhile, not-for-profit, charitable organization in the community. What volunteer service has been most impactful for you, and what lessons would you share with us about service and the benefits of service, both for the person who is serving as well as the organization and the community at large?
I'm going to mention the very first organization I had a real leadership role, and that was the Raleigh Little Theater. And my dad had been a contributor, but Vic Bell, the banker, y'all may know his son, Vic, but the banker, he was sort of a mentor for me. He said, get involved in this Raleigh Little Theater. So I was like the second vice president, membership chairman. And the first vice president was none other than Jim Dorsett, his father. So in the meantime, Jim Dorsett, his father, got reassigned to Wachovia as the chief counsel in Winston-Salem. I moved up. I can tell you, it was the most controversial situation I have ever been in my life. And I learned a lot, but it was mean. I mean, the people were mean. You go to meetings, and one meeting we went to without, I can call the names, but at the Carolina Country Club, and when we had fired the director, a fellow named John Miller, and hired somebody named Tony Dingman. Tony Dingman didn't fire John Miller, but there was a faction that was dying to get rid of Tony Dingman. So we go to this meeting, and this person said, I want to read a statement. I want to ask Mr. Dingman to leave the room. I said, well, I don't know why I said this. You can read the statement, but I'm not going to ask him to leave the room. She read the most god-awful statement about how horrible he was, everything. She finished, and I said, the next item is the treasurer's report. One of those women said, Mr. Chairman, how could you listen to that statement and not say anything about it? I said, well, she didn't make a motion. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot about that. One of the anecdote about that, we had the annual meeting. They were going to try to fire Tony Dingman in the annual meeting, which they couldn't do. But anyway, they hired Buddy Hackett. Anybody remember that name, Buddy Hackett? Comedian to come over from Duke and to heckle me. But I think the key thing is be prepared, do your homework, be a team player, be part of a group. At that particular time, I knew they were going to try to fire him. So I got Donnie Smith, who'd been the city attorney and give me questions and answers. I had my Robert's Rules of Order, and I was ready for that. So That's, I say, just do your homework and be part of a team. Be agreeable without this. You can disagree without being disagreeable.
Well, it sounds like that was a great learning experience for you to serve as head of a nonprofit. You never know what goes on behind. And I'm sure my dad had some mixed feelings about turning over the reins or you having had that experience so early in your career. Yeah.
The most gratifying volunteer in the many organizations, but actually was running for the city council and serving on city council. It is voluntary. I mean, you don't have to run. If you run, you may not get elected, but there's a lot going on in Raleigh at that time, growth, no growth, and I felt like could really contribute. And looking back on that, I was there 6 years before as mayor. I would be totally depressed if I had not stepped forward and done that. I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it. And I did it. So if you got something you really want to do it.
Yep. Step forward, volunteer, and learn. So Smedes, I could ask you innumerable questions. Unfortunately, we have some time limitations here. Rotary Club of Raleigh, we wrap up on time every time, thanks to our hard-driving president. And so we're going to do that today. But I would like, if we have time, Mr. President, I'd like to ask Smedes to read a couple of his poems that will be included in his forthcoming book that were announced by the train that went by a little earlier.
I thought you'd never ask. I'm just going to read one poem. I need to put my glasses on to do this. This is an example. All of my poems rhyme, okay? And they rhyme in couplets. I love the English language, and I love to be able to figure out words that rhyme. So this is called The Aging Competitor. It's pretty much about myself. The Aging Competitor. I hit the ball with great force, 220 yards, of course. I strode down to find my ball. To that point, not close at all. I sheepishly backtracked 50 yards. Long drives no longer in the cards. Where is my distance? It feels the same. What is there but age to blame? Then I went to my basketball court. For years I played that great sport to teach my grandsons to shoot the ball with a beautiful arc, as I recall. The ball fell short to my chagrin. I thought surely it was in. Hand me the ball, I'll shoot once more. Sadly, it fell as short as before. No more marathons, just a brisk walk. Getting old, what's all that talk? But then pain in my hip and back, hard to keep my pace on track. But what I can do is still much fun, great pleasure when good deeds are done. At the end of the day, I still feel good. If I stayed positive, I knew I would. Thank you.
Well, Jim, thank you for walking us through that wonderful group of questions. And Smedes, thank you so much for your insight, hearing the history of Raleigh and all the great work that you've done. In addition to doing a donation to Transitions Life Care, one of the other things that we do is we make a donation to the Rotary International Foundation on your behalf, in enough of the amount of $1,000 to provide you with the Paul Harris Fellowship accommodation. There is your pin there, sir. We also have there's that for you. Jim will provide that to you. But the Rotary Foundation does wonderful work throughout the world, from the eradication of polio to things that we've seen here in our club with individuals providing clean water and sanitation in third world countries that don't have those opportunities, maternity and child health and care and development. So we just want to make sure that as an honor to the great work you've done in the city of Raleigh, that we continue that with our impact in the world. So thank you so much for being here today. Yes, sir. Wonderful. All right, with that, Rotarians, thank you so much for being here today as we honored Smedes. And with that, we are going to end our presentation today with the four-way test. So if you would please rise for the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, and do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? We are dismissed.
Perfect length. It couldn't have gone any better.
That's probably one of my favorite VSLAs we've done so far. I've really appreciated the interview. That was wonderful. Yes, sir. Bill?
Hey, Bill.
Thank you.